The forest was alive with secrets, the air heavy with anticipation. Amadioha had come to expect the unexpected during these trials, but this one felt different. The trees seemed to whisper to one another, and as he approached the shimmering web before him, he could feel it, a trap woven not of strength or endurance, but of something far more elusive, wisdom. A voice, sly and smooth, drifted through the air. "Caught in my web already, Thunder God?" Amadioha looked up to see Anansi, the trickster god, descending from the shadows of the trees. He was in his spider form at first, moving with unnerving grace along the web. But as he approached, his form shifted into that of a wiry, human-like figure, his eyes gleaming with intelligence and mischief. "Anansi," Amadioha said, his voice steady but wary. "I see you're the one behind this trial." Anansi smiled, his robes shifting colors as he balanced effortlessly on the strands of the web. "Oh yes, but brute force won't help you here, Amadioha. This trial is about something far more dangerous than strength, wisdom." Amadioha crossed his arms, unimpressed. "You think riddles and tricks will stop me?" Anansi chuckled, spinning a thread between his fingers. "Oh, you'll find that a sharp mind can be more powerful than any weapon. Let's see if you can think your way out of this one." Without warning, the web tightened around Amadioha, pulling him toward the center. He tried to break free, but the more he struggled, the tighter it became. Anansi grinned as he watched the thunder god tense against the trap. "Each thread of this web," Anansi said, "is connected to a riddle. Solve the riddles, and the web will loosen. Pull the wrong one, and you'll find yourself even more tangled." Amadioha's brow furrowed. Riddles. He could feel the weight of the trial. This wasn't about physical power. He would have to think carefully. The first riddle echoed through the air, as if the very web itself whispered it to him. "I have cities but no houses. I have mountains but no trees. I have water but no fish. What am I?" Amadioha thought for a moment, the answer coming to him. A map. The web loosened slightly. Anansi clapped, clearly entertained. "Good, good, but let's see how you handle the next one." The second riddle followed. "The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I?" Amadioha answered without hesitation. Footsteps. The web loosened further, but Anansi's grin only grew wider. "Well done, but let's raise the stakes, shall we?" Then came the third riddle, more cryptic and subtle. "It walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening. What is it?" Amadioha's mind raced, but he recognized the answer. A human. As a baby, it crawls on all 4s. As an adult, it walks on 2 legs, and in old age, it uses a cane. The web slackened even more, but Anansi's eyes glinted with something deeper now, a shift from simple amusement to a more profound game. As Amadioha prepared for the next challenge, Anansi's tone shifted, becoming more conversational. "You know, I've always had a fondness for the Ashanti people. You've heard of them, haven't you? The kingdom in Ghana? A place where stories and wisdom are as powerful as swords." Amadioha raised an eyebrow. "And what do you have to do with them?" Anansi grinned, clearly enjoying the attention. "Oh, I've had my fair share of affairs with the humans there. They call me their trickster, their storyteller. My tales have shaped their very culture, their identity. Through my stories, I taught them lessons, sometimes harsh, sometimes humorous, but always with a purpose." He spun another thread, his voice taking on a reflective tone. "In the Ashanti kingdom, I wove my way into their hearts and minds. My stories carried their traditions, passed down from generation to generation. The Ashanti learned the value of cunning over brute strength. They understood that the sharpest mind could overcome the mightiest warrior." Amadioha listened, intrigued despite himself. The Ashanti kingdom was known for its wealth of culture, its powerful warriors, and its wisdom. To think that Anansi, this playful, tricky god, had influenced them so deeply spoke to the power of stories and cleverness. Anansi seemed to read Amadioha's thoughts. "Power, thunder god, isn't just about muscles and lightning. It's about shaping minds, controlling hearts. The Ashanti knew this well. Perhaps you could learn something from them. He leaned in, his smile wicked. And from me. As the web loosened around Amadioha, Anansi's tone changed once again. There was a seriousness in his voice that hadn't been there before. "You're powerful, Amadioha," Anansi said softly, "but you're not the only one. There's another god out there, one who wields thunder and lightning as you do. But his storms are different, wilder, more unpredictable." Amadioha's interest peaked. Another god of thunder? Anansi's gaze grew distant, as if recalling ancient memories. "He's fierce. His lightning strikes with fury, his storms come without warning, and he wields a double-headed axe called Ose. In some ways he's like you, but there's something deeper, more primal in his power." Amadioha's hands clenched at his sides. "Who is he?" Anansi grinned, but this time it was more mysterious. "Let's just say you'll meet him soon enough. When your paths cross, we'll see who commands the skies more powerfully, you or him." The comparison lingered in the air, unsettling Amadioha. Another god of thunder. He hadn't even considered the possibility. His mind raced with thoughts of this unnamed rival, wondering whether he was truly a match for him. Anansi watched Amadioha closely, his eyes gleaming. "But don't worry, Thunder God. You'll have plenty of time to prepare. After all, the wars to come will decide many things, including who the true ruler of the storms is." The forest around them shimmered, and the web began to shift again. As Amadioha prepared for what would come next, Anansi's tone became more serious. "You've solved my riddles, Amadioha, but I have a different kind of question for you now, one that even your thunder can't answer." Amadioha frowned, unsure of where this was leading. Anansi leaned closer, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "Tell me, Thunder God, what do you know of the creator gods?" Amadioha raised an eyebrow. "The creator gods?" Anansi nodded, his voice softening. "Yes, the creator gods. Across Africa, in every kingdom, they speak of different gods who are said to have shaped the world and breathed life into humans. In the Ashanti kingdom, they speak of Nyame, the sky god, as the creator. In other lands, they speak of Olodumare, Mawulisa, Modimo, gods who are said to have created all things." Anansi began to weave another thread between his fingers, his tone growing more intense. "These gods are known in all these kingdoms to be the creators of the world and humans. But you and I both know something, don't we?" Amadioha stared at him, unsure of what Anansi was getting at. "There is only one world," Anansi said softly, "one world where humans live." "So, who is the true creator? Are these gods all the same? Or is there one among them who is the original creator of this world?" Amadioha's expression darkened. He had met Chukwu, the supreme god, the one who had created him. And yet, here was Anansi, questioning the very nature of creation. Anansi leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "You are a god loved by Chukwu, aren't you? The last time you saw him, you felt his power, didn't you? The sheer force of it. Like standing before a force that could shatter the universe. You couldn't even look at him properly, could you? And that was him tuning his power down just to accommodate you." Amadioha's heart quickened. He remembered it all too well. The overwhelming presence of Chukwu, the way the very air had trembled in his presence, as if reality itself struggled to contain his power. Anansi's eyes glinted with curiosity. "So tell me, Amadioha, do you think there is another like him? Do you think these other creator gods are all him? Or is there something else at play here?" Amadioha felt the weight of the question settle over him. His mind raced, grappling with the idea that had been planted by Anansi's words. He opened his mouth to answer, the words forming on his tongue, ready to shatter the very fabric of what he had understood about creation. "I know that," Amadioha began, but the moment the words left his lips, a powerful force clamped down on him. His mouth was sealed, as if the universe itself had stopped him from speaking. The air around him seemed to ripple, reality bending under the weight of the truth he had almost spoken. Anansi's eyes widened for a brief moment, his smile faltering before erupting into laughter. He laughed so hard that he doubled over, clutching his sides, his voice echoing through the forest. "Now I see why you're popular among the gods," Anansi wheezed between fits of laughter. "You almost spoke something that could have broken the very foundations of our world. No wonder they fear your power." Amadioha, still silenced by the force of the truth he had almost revealed, glared at Anansi. But there was no anger in the trickster's eyes, only amusement and a strange sense of awe. Anansi wiped a tear from his eye, still chuckling. "Oh, Amadioha, you're full of surprises. It's no wonder the gods keep such a close watch on you. They know what you're capable of, but now I see it for myself." With his laughter dying down, Anansi returned to his web, spinning a final thread between his fingers. "But we're not quite finished yet, Thunder God. You still have one more challenge." Before Amadioha, the web shimmered and shifted once again, revealing the final puzzle, a complex, tangled mess of threads, each one representing the riddles and choices he had faced so far. The web pulsed with life, a reflection of everything he had learned during the trial. Anansi's voice was softer now, almost respectful. "This is your last test. One wrong move, and the web will trap you forever. But get it right, and you'll be free." Amadioha studied the web, his mind still reeling from the question Anansi had posed. But he couldn't dwell on that now. He had to focus. With a deep breath, he reached for the thread that felt right, the one that connected everything. He pulled gently, and for a moment, the web shimmered as if resisting him. Then, slowly, it began to unravel, the threads falling away one by one. Anansi watched, nodding approvingly. "Well done, Thunder God. You've proven that you're more than just a storm." As the web dissolved around them, Anansi gave Amadioha one final thoughtful look. "You've done well, Amadioha. But remember this, wisdom is a weapon too. In the wars to come, you'll need cunning, patience, and even trickery. Not all battles are won with brute force." Amadioha nodded, still processing everything that had transpired. He could feel the weight of Anansi's words, and the strange sensation of his mouth being sealed. How close he had come to speaking something dangerous, something that could have unraveled the very fabric of their world. Anansi, ever the trickster, sensed his unease and leaned in with a gleam in his eyes. "And about those creator gods, I wouldn't dwell on it too much. Let the others believe what they want. But you, Amadioha, you stand on the precipice of something much greater. Your journey is just beginning, and the truth you almost spoke today, it's not something the world is ready to hear." Amadioha's mind flashed back to the moment he'd seen Chukwu, the supreme god. The overwhelming power, the feeling of insignificance before such a force. The memory still weighed heavily on him, as did Anansi's lingering question. Were the creator gods spoken of in each African kingdom all different aspects of Chukwu, or was there something even more unfathomable at play? As if reading his thoughts, Anansi waved a hand dismissively. "But enough of that for now. Let's talk about what really matters, the wars to come. You've been preparing, haven't you? The gods are watching, the mortals are moving, and soon the storm you carry will have to clash with forces even you may not be ready for." Amadioha's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Anansi's grin widened. "I'm talking about the other gods. You're not the only one with power, Thunder God, and sooner or later you'll cross paths with them. Thunder doesn't only crackle in your skies. There's another out there who wields lightning with a fury that rivals yours." Amadioha's heart quickened as he recalled the earlier mention of a rival god. "You keep mentioning him. Who is he?" Anansi smirked, his voice dripping with mystery. "Ah, wouldn't you like to know? His name isn't important right now, but trust me, you'll know him when you see him. His lightning is wild, untamed, and when the two of you meet, the very skies will shatter. But who will reign supreme? Who truly commands the storms? Anansi's laughter echoed through the forest, though this time it felt less mocking and more like a knowing amusement. He spun one final thread between his fingers, watching it disappear into the wind. I'd place my bets carefully if I were you. The world is full of gods who think they're untouchable, only to learn the hard way that power comes with consequences. The air around them stilled, and Amadioha could feel the weight of the unspoken wars to come. Anansi's words lingered, leaving him with more questions than answers. Who was this other god of thunder? Could their powers truly be on par with one another? And what of the creator gods? Was Anansi right in his musings, or was the truth far more complicated than even he knew? Amadioha clenched his fists, feeling the familiar surge of power coursing through him. He had always relied on his strength, his thunder, to carry him through battles. But now, with Anansi's warnings echoing in his mind, he began to understand that brute force alone wouldn't be enough, not in the conflicts that lay ahead. "I'll be ready," Amadioha said, more to himself than to Anansi. The trickster god raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. We'll see. You've got potential, Amadioha, more than most. But potential is just that, potential. What you choose to do with it, well, that's where the real fun begins." As the last threads of the web dissolved into the air, Anansi stepped back, his form beginning to blur into the shadows of the trees. But before he fully disappeared, he gave Amadioha one final piercing look. "You've been fun to toy with, Thunder God. But remember, I'm not the only one weaving webs. The world is full of unseen forces, and not all of them are as playful as I am. There are gods out there who won't stop at riddles. They'll tear you apart if they get the chance. So stay sharp, Amadioha. The next time we meet, it might be in the middle of one of those wars I keep hinting at." Amadioha watched as Anansi's form vanished entirely, his voice lingering in the air like a faint whisper. "Good luck, Thunder God. You'll need it." For a moment the forest was silent. The web was gone, the illusions had faded, and Amadioha stood alone. But in that solitude, the weight of Anansi's words pressed down on him. The wars to come, the rival god of thunder, the mysteries of the creator gods, these were no longer distant thoughts. They were looming realities. He took a deep breath, knowing that his journey was far from over, and whatever lay ahead, he would need more than just his thunder to face it.